plans to pay $496 million for purchase of 12 Super Tucano jets to fight Boko Haram. As House of Representatives summoned President Buhari over security situation in the country. On and outside Nigeria, Iranian President Hassan Rouhani questions legitimacy of efforts by the U.S. and European allies to change a nuclear deal with his country. And on sports news, many thanks for staying with us. I am Justin. Akadanye will begin from the Senate in this bulletin. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari has written a letter to the Senate informing it of plans to pay the sum of $496 million, equivalent of 151 billion naira, for the purchase of 12 Super Tucano jets to fight militant group Boko Haram. The letter to this effect was read by the Senate President Bukola Saraki at the Red Chamber at Thursday's plenary.
In the expectation that the National Assembly will have no objection to the purchase of these highly specialized aircraft, which is critical to national security, I granted anticipatory approval for the release of $496,374,470 This was paid directly to the Treasury of the United States government.
Now, the same presidential request for the purchase of the fighter jets at the House of Representatives prompted a call for the president's impeachment barely 24 hours earlier. And at the Senate, however, there was not a repeat of the rowdy session that followed the call for the president's impeachment. But Senator Matthew Roide noted that the presidency is acting in breach of the Constitution. Citing Section 80, subsections 1, 2, and 3 of the Nigerian Constitution, he says making withdrawal from the Federation account without appropriation by the National Assembly amounts to illegality.
No money shall be withdrawn from any public fund of the Federation other than the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation unless the issue of those monies shall be authorized by an act of the National Assembly. No money shall be withdrawn from the Consolidated Revenue Fund or any other public fund of the Federation except in the manner prescribed by the National Assembly. Mr. President.
In ruling on the submission of Urogide, the Senate President says the matter will be addressed properly on the next legislative day.
It is just a communication. Are you clear? We have to always be guided by the procedure. Once we do that, we'll refer it. And in case of the importance of it, we can slate it for next legislative day. All the points you have marshaled, just keep it in your pocket. And it's not going away. But we just have to ensure that we go strictly by the procedure. This institution that we have here, we've always known that we always stand on what is right, and we always do that. So I'm not trying to take away your privileges for you, but we must be guided by the same rules that we have studied. So we'll slate it, we'll refer it, and that time you will have your day to make your contributions.
Now, the sale of the fighter jets was originally agreed by former President Barack Obama's administration, but was put off after incidents including the Nigerian Air Force's bombing of a refugee camp in January that killed 90 to 170 civilians came up. But on August 2, the deadlock was broken by the Pentagon's Defense Security Corporation agency when it announced that the sale would eventually go ahead. Moving away from the Senate, now to the lower chamber. The House of Representatives has summoned President Muhammadu Buhari over the security situation in the country. The House will suspend sitting for 3 days in solidarity with Nigerians over the killings in the country. The representatives have resolved to summon President Buhari over the spate of killings in Benue State and other parts of the country. The unprecedented decision was unanimously welcomed by an overwhelming majority of members after a Kano lawmaker, Babali Bashir, APC Kano, moved for the amendment of a motion moved by Mark Bila, APC Benue. The House also resolved to suspend its plenary for 3 days in solidarity with victims of attacks across the country. Recall that 19 worshippers, including 2 priests, were killed early Tuesday at a church in Benue State. Moving on now, staying on the Benue killings. Now, following the attack that led to the killing of 2 Catholic priests and 17 parishioners Tuesday in Wa East local government area of Benue State, the Christian Association of Nigeria and the Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria, PFN, have condemned the attack and called on churches to be vigilant. The state chairman, Christian Association of Nigeria, Akben Leva, who spoke on behalf of the churches in Benue State, admonished Christians not to be deterred by Tuesday's attack, saying it is a direct war against the church which has taken a serious dimension. He said farmers were previously attacked, killed, their homes and farm produce destroyed, but that this new attack is a call on Christians to be vigilant and for the security agencies to brace up.
Actually, as this thing has happened, it has really confirmed that we don't have enough security in this nation. We have been crying for security. And if this thing can happen, we are worried because it can be any church, anytime. And so therefore, I want to call on the Christian community in Benue State to be proactive, to be vigilant, in order to quell some of the attacks that may come from time to time.
While the killing of 2 priests and 17 parishioners had spurred protest and bonfire in Makodi, the parish priest of St. Teresa Catholic Church, Makodi, is calling on the federal government to protect the church and the people from the herdsmen militia, as the priests cannot stop doing the work of God.
We do than to cry up to the government to do what they're supposed to do and that which is the needful. They know where this thing is coming. They have the capacity to stop this thing, and we want them to stop it, because these people are moving around with AK-47s. Nobody's arresting them, okay? And they're putting everybody at risk. So we believe if the government is sincere in their approach, the government will stop this carnage. We call on government to protect us. We believe that the government has responsibility to look after us.
Correspondent Gabriel Odia reports that since January 1st, the killings and attacks on farmers and community have heightened, with more people killed and displaced from their homes. Moving on, in the meantime, staying in the House of Representatives, the lower chamber has summoned President Muhammadu Buhari over the security situation in the country. The House will suspend sitting for 3 days in solidarity with Nigerians over the killings in the country. The representatives have resolved to summon President Buhari over the spate of killings in some parts of the country.
Based on these letters, we processed the issues as requested by the committee. We made a formal presentation to the SGL that the Office of the Secretary to the Government, as the custodian of government informations and documents, the respective files that deal with this very issue, and we were able to come up with the document as actually requested in those letters.
Moving on, now, members of the House of Representatives have been called upon to throw away any sentiment and rise up to unison. We'll bring you details when the news returns. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now for more updates and latest news, visit our website, galaxytvonline.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/GalaxyTV Nigeria. You can follow or interact with us via our Facebook page, facebook.com/GalaxyTV, or tweet at us at GalaxyTV. Now don't forget to follow and tag us on our Instagram page at @OfficialGalaxyTV. Our social media platforms are user-friendly and can always accommodate your live updates and comments. Moving on, staying on the House of Representatives, the Auditor General of the Federation, Anthony Ayine, says the House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee investigating the legality and modus operandi of the Presidential Investigative Panel for the Recovery of Public Property had requested him and directors in his office to fill assets declaration form. Ayine, however, says the letter, which was addressed to him and other directors, was not only commending but was also confrontational, which he was not comfortable with. He said this prompted him to write the Attorney General and Minister of Justice seeking for advice. However, Mr. Emmanuel Akisa, legal advisor to the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, said the panel was set up as a special one to address some existing defects.
Based on these letters, we processed the issues as requested by the committee. We made a formal presentation to the SGL that the Office of the Secretary to the Government, as the custodian of government informations and documents, the respective files that deal with this very issue, and we were able to come up with the document as actually requested in those letters.
Meanwhile, Chairman of the Ad Hoc Committee, Ahmed Pategi, said that submission from the Solicitor General of the Federation explains why the panel was set up.
The letter to Mr. President is very clear when it was done by the Office of the SGF. And it says in paragraph 3, in view of the tremendous implications of the alleged acts of corruption on the economy of the country and the need to ascertain the veracity of the allegations, I wish to recommend for Your Excellency's kind consideration and approval the setting up of the Special Investigation Panel for the Recovery of Public Property under the chairmanship of Chief Okoye Obunobla, Special Assistant to the President on Prosecution, with Mr. Akim Bolan Adeniran, Rule of Law Advisor.
Because in governance, there has to be synergy between executive and the legislative arm. All your charges to MDAs and everything you intend to do in terms of your policy areas, the Constitution has given us oversight and appropriatory powers. So for you to have a panel, you must approach us to enable that panel or agency you intend to set up. A simple letter will have sufficed, and I won't have had to go through this process. We were not informed.
Now, members of the House of Representatives have been called upon to throw away any sentiment and rise up in unison to condemn the invasion of the National Assembly last week by hoodlums loyal to the suspended Senator Ovie Omo Agege. The Chief Whip Alhassan Ado Dogowa made the call on the floor of the House in Abuja. Dogowa lamented that his individual privileges as a lawmaker were infringed upon by the action of these thugs and urged his colleagues to rise up to the occasion and condemn the act. He further disclosed that the attack on the institution of the National Assembly was beyond any imagination and cannot be supported on any party line. Speaking on the motion, the Speaker, Yakubu Dogara, urged his colleagues to desist from forming caucuses that might seem to express strong loyalty to any person or group of persons outside the National Assembly. The Speaker said that there was no justifiable reason for any lawmaker to sponsor an attack on the National Assembly and warned that failure to curtail such incidents would spur similar attacks on any other arms of government in the country. Now, the Federal High Court sitting in Lagos has ordered the remand of Senator Peter Nwaboshi in Ikoyi prison. The remand order follows the arraignment of the senator by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, over allegations of fraud. Now, Senator Nwaboshi, the lawmaker representing Delta North District at the National Assembly, was arraigned by the National Anti-Graft Agency on Wednesday on 2 counts of alleged fraud. After listening to the argument for and against his bail application, Justice Mohammed Idris ordered that the lawmaker be remanded in prison till Friday, when a ruling would be given on whether or not to admit him to bail. Now, counsel to Senator Nwaboshi had asked the court to grant his client bail on self-recognizance, but the EFCC opposed the bail application, informing the court that there were still pending charges against the lawmaker. Moving on, the ruling All Progressives Congress APC says there is no going back on the state congresses and convention of the party scheduled to hold in May this year. Now, governors of the party gave the assurance after a closed-door meeting they held with President Buhari in Abuja a late night on Tuesday. Chairman of the Progressives Governors Forum, Rochas Okorocha, who addressed journalists after the meeting, said they met the president to re-strategize on how to make the convention hitch-free. He said they are looking at the leadership of the party with a view to ensuring that the convention elect credible team that will take the party to greater heights. Okorocha said they were also in the villa to encourage the president on his decision to seek re-election in the forthcoming general elections.
Gentlemen of the press, we met with Mr. President, as usual, to welcome him back home and commend him for the boldness and courage to declare his intention to run for the second time as the President of Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Dynamic leader in the person of President Muhammadu Buhari, who is giving us leadership and direction. And every one of us in APC, governors and others, we are going to align 100%.
Now, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, said the meeting was a routine to finding possible ways of moving the country forward. On insinuations that the APC may settle for a consensus candidate during the convention, the SGF said such arrangement cannot be ruled out since it is an acceptable democratic practice. Talking health now, moving on to Ogun State. As Nigeria joins the rest of the world to celebrate the 2018 World Malaria Day, Ogun State government says it will continue to work with relevant partners to ensure that proven interventions such as the distribution of free, long-lasting insecticidal net, doses of sulfadoxine pyrimethamine are deployed towards malaria elimination in the state. Giving an account of stewardship on how the state has fared in terms of malaria elimination in Ogun State, Commissioner for Health, Dr. Babatunde Baye, says in 2017, out of the 427,184 fever cases tested, 269,518 were positive for malaria, and 98.9% of those positive were treated free with ACTs. He further says more attention is being paid towards integrated vector management to ensure that mosquito breeding and vector human capital is reduced to the barest minimum.
I said malaria accounts for about 30% of under 5 deaths in Nigeria. Okay? So under 5 mortality in Ogun State in 2011 was at about 98 per 1,000 live births. But according to the multi-indicator cluster survey of 2016, under 5 mortality in Ogun State is now 60. So that's a drastic drop from what it used to be. Even when you compare that with Nigeria as a country, the statistics in Nigeria is 120. So Ogun State is 2 times better than Nigeria in terms of under 5 mortality. Okay? So that's one indicator that is globally acceptable. If you also look at maternal mortality, which is the second global indicator for measuring health system improvement.
The commissioner equally advised members of the public to desist from using traditional supplement as an alternative towards curing malaria.
Maternal mortality in Ogun State before now used to be over 250 deaths per 100,000 live births. In 2016, it has come down to 119. Okay? So in Ogun State, maternal mortality is 119 deaths per 100,000 live births. If you compare that to Nigeria, Nigeria is 576 as a country. So Ogun State is 4 or 5 times better than Nigeria. And some of the strategies we have deployed as a state is that every 4 years we have embarked on long-lasting insecticidal net campaigns.
Now, the theme for the 2018 World Malaria Day is Ready to Beat Malaria Together We Can. Away from all of that, coming up next, there's international news.
Welcome to the international scene. Iranian President Hassan Rouhani has questioned the legitimacy of efforts by the US and its European allies to change a nuclear deal with his country. The US and French leaders announced on Tuesday that they were working on a new deal that would expand and extend the terms of the 2015 accord. But Rouhani said they had no right to renegotiate a 7-party agreement. He also dismissed U.S. President Donald Trump as a tradesman not qualified to comment on global treaties. On the other hand, Donald Trump has said the U.S. will reimpose sanctions on UN suspended under the deal on 12 May unless Congress and European powers fix disastrous flaws. The 5 other parties to the accord, France, the UK, Germany, China and Russia, see it as the best way to prevent Iran from developing a nuclear weapon. Moving on, tens of thousands of opposition protesters have returned to the streets in Armenia despite the resignation of long-standing leader, says Sargsyan. Demonstrators are angry that talks between protest leader Nikol Pashinyan and Sargsyan replacement as prime minister broke down. Sargsyan had taken up the post last week after serving as president. On Wednesday, protesters marched through the capital Yerevan, chanting Nikol for prime minister. The new president, Armin Sargsyan, has said he will hold talks with political parties to try to resolve the crisis in the country, warning it faces a serious trial. Still on the international scene, the head of Spain's Madrid region has stepped down amid shoplifting allegations weeks after being accused of faking a master's degree. Cristina Cifuentes condemned as a personal attack the publication of a video from 2011 showing her handing items to a supermarket security guard. Mr. Fuentes, 53, gave up a master's last week when it emerged that 2 signatures on the document were forged. A prominent figure in Spain's ruling center party, PP, Cifuentes had already come under pressure from political opponents to resign because of the degree affair. A resignation is a blow to Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy, whose party has faced a succession of corruption scandals. By stepping down, she averted a motion of no confidence, which she said would have brought Madrid under the control of the left-wing socialist and Podemos parties. And finally, on the international scene, the Republicans have retained a congressional seat in Arizona, but with a single-digit margin in the usually deep red state. Debbie Lesko beat her Democratic rival by only about 5 percentage points. The vote was seen as a test of President Donald Trump's Republican Party in a district where he won by a margin of 21 points in 2016. The special election in the 8th Congressional District and the growing conservative suburbs of the state capital, Phoenix, was called when the incumbent Trent Franks was forced to resign in December over sexual misconduct. And that's it on the international scene.
And And now for more update and latest news, visit our website, galaxytvonline.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/GalaxyTV Nigeria. You can follow or interact with us via our Facebook page, facebook.com/GalaxyTV, or tweet at us at GalaxyTV. Now, don't forget to follow and tag us on our Instagram page at @OfficialGalaxyTV. Our social media platforms are user-friendly and can always accommodate your live updates and comments. Well, many thanks for being a part of the news. I am Justin Akademia. We urge you to join us again at 10 p.m. for a flagship bulletin. Good evening to you.